Hi, I'm Toby. I'm Bishop of Bradford, and it's a great honour and a joy and a privilege to have been invited to share with you in your Ramadan reflections. I'm a great fan of the Muslim Women's Council and your leadership, and so grateful for the part that you play in the life of the city and region, and much more widely actually. You enrich our lives, my life, so much, and I'm so grateful to God for that. And I'm praying for you and for all of our Muslim communities as you journey through Ramadan, this unbelievably special and holy time, but also a time when we're so aware of the current restrictions and our fragility as we look back over a year and think actually back to last Ramadan and Eid, and how difficult that was as well, particularly in our national situation. So I've been asked to reflect a little bit on the last year and how I found it as a Christian, and I want to offer you a little picture. This is my first attempt at kintsugi. Kintsugi, as you probably know, is it's a Japanese art. I'm not very good. I'm not a black belt yet. It's an art of fixing pottery, and it's a way of fixing pottery with gold. It goes back to the 15th century, I'm told, where a Japanese leader, a shogun, he dropped his pot and it broke, and he wanted to fix it, and his artists around him suggested, why don't you fix it in such a way that it highlights and makes a feature of the cracks rather than tries to hide them? And that reminds me of some words of Rumi, which are, I think he said something like, the wound is the place where the light enters. Isn't that beautiful? The wound is the place where the light enters. And that for me is what my experience at its best has been during this pandemic. We've been so aware of the wounds. We've been so aware of our friends, our family members, our colleagues, those who have been really scarred by the pandemic. We've lost loved ones. I was up at Scolmore last week, and just that place has seen too much activity. It's awful, the cemetery there. Many people's businesses have been lost, their finances ruined. Many of our children and young people feel like their education has been taken away from them for more than a year now. And it's very easy just to focus on to look at the cracks. And it's easy also, therefore, to try and hide the cracks and to say, well, let's try and make it better again, or let's ask God to make it better. But my experience as a Christian is that God comes to us, as it were, in the cracks. And it's often in the cracks, through the cracks, that we find the light and we find the healing. And we find one another in all our vulnerability. And I guess one of the things I so appreciate about Muslim Women's Council is the way that you engage with the fragilities in our society. And within your own community and more widely, and you help the rest of us to do the same. And I think at our best, we as religious communities can do this. We can help wider society not to see perfection as something that is without cracks, as it were, but to see perfection as something that God does with an often very broken humanity in bringing the pieces together in a way that actually glorify God and show that God is the great healer, the great lover of humanity, the one who calls us to be together and to celebrate our differences and to celebrate one another and to hold one another together, as it were, the gold and the cracks. In Christian terminology, that's Jesus risen from the dead with holes in his hands, not pretending, but as it were, celebrating and honouring the sufferings that he had been through. And I think that's a picture for all of us. So thank you for your invitation, and that's just a little offering from me, offered with great respect and humility and love, and my prayers for you as a community in this very special time, and as you journey towards a hopefully wonderful celebration of Eid.